for Heat 1A, and those include the Tide boat with George Woods Jr., which has been running very strong so far this weekend. The DOC Ray-Ban Mitch Evans, the only piston-powered boat in the field. The American Spirit U100, Mark Evans will be driving that boat. And the DOC AccuView, Ken Muscatel, the U55.
We're getting word that the DOC Ray-Ban Mitch Evans will not be in this one. They've had carburetion problems plague them for the last couple of days. We're down to 3 boats as the Tide leads them on the inside lane 1.
Well, Mitch Evans, I'm sure, will be cheering for his brother who leads the boats through turn number 1 right now, and that's Mark Evans in the American Spirit. He has the Tide boat to worry about on his left side, just on the inside off his hip pocket. George Woods Jr. continues his charge, holds his lane, and lane number 1 coming out of turn number 2 onto the back stretch. He puts power to it. Let's see if they'll go up and even deck to deck.
Look at the rooster tail on that boat on the left, which is the Art Van, and look at the inside shot as the Tide with George Woods will not give up. Watch it now, Dick. This is a tight turn here in corners 3 and 4.
And George Woods Jr., the orange boat on the inside, he's the man that was talking about how calm it can be one moment and how those swells can come up and throw you for a loop the next moment, but he sure takes advantage of good water. He gets into the lead position. It is now Tide in the lead, and the Art Van American Spirit in second place, but the bite is not won yet.
1:45.6 on the first lap, and let's check now that every lap today is 5 laps. Yesterday, they were sprints, 3 laps to get them here. This is the longest race of the year for the most coveted cup of all, the APBA Gold Cup.
As we look at George Woods Jr. coming out of turn number 2, it's a good time to remind you of last year's racing. Now, in Madison, Indiana last year, he lost a sponson on the boat, literally finished the race on 1 sponson. And then he came along in Seattle, and they had rebuilt the sponson, found the boat went a little bit faster with the rebuilt sponson, and they won the race in Seattle. So you can imagine the feeling of that pit crew right now after all their hard work in the offseason, getting the boat working just so beautifully now to see it out in front in this heat.
A fine team, and they deserve a lot, and I'll tell you, they go into every race with the idea that they can win this thing, and you know what? They're right.
George Woods Jr., one of the favorite drivers along the unlimited shoreline, and he has, of course, driven the limited hydroplanes for many, many years. Second place still Mark Evans in Art Van's American Spirit. A good shot there of how the boat is holding the water. He really has a very good attitude, takes a little bit of a bump here and there. Now, and apparently there's a problem of some kind with Ken Muscatel.
Yes, he has been disqualified because his canopy, look at, he's holding the wheel with one hand, he's holding his canopy down. The officials have spotted that. And it's a safety infraction. He is disqualified from this race. He'll be black flagged, and we're down to 2 boats.
The 2 boats being the Art Van American Spirit back in second place, and this boat, the leader, Tide boat, George Woods Jr. And George is just having a good run. This is a near-perfect day in Detroit, and the river is really cooperating with the racers. There's the checkered flag. George Woods Jr. coming home first. We'll be back with the RC Cola Unlimited Hydroplane Series, the Detroit Budweiser APBA Gold Cup, in just a moment. Welcome back to Detroit, Michigan. We're on the back stretch of the Unlimited Hydroplane course. It is bordered in part by the Detroit Yacht Club on beautiful Belle Isle. The results from Heat 3A, the Tide first, American Spirit second, DOC Ray-Ban did not start, DOC AccuView was disqualified.
George Woods, our winner of Heat 3A in the Tide. George, it's back to the old days. Time starts 5 laps. He made a good start, though.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Steve, it's really tough. You know, we only get to do this once a year, and we come down here to the Detroit River, and this is a tough river to race against all by itself. And we have a tight corner down here. It gets crowded, and a real short run to the clock. It stretches our expertise quite a bit.
Here are the boats that are going to go real hard in Heat 3B, T Plus, with Steve David aboard, Jim Harvey's boat, the Winston Eagle, Steve Woomer, the owner of that boat, Mark Tate driving it. The Miss Budweiser, Chip Hanauer, and of course, owner Bernie Little. Rounding out the field will be Mike Hanson of Madison, Indiana, and the Kellogg's Frosted Flakes. Bob Hughes is the owner rep on that boat.
As they start Heat 3B, Dick, look at this. The Miss Budweiser chooses lane number 1.
That's got to surprise everybody in the field, including Mark Tate. This is the first time those two boats, the Miss Budweiser and the Winston Eagle, have matched up on the course here in the Detroit River in this Gold Cup competition. And what happens? But Chip Hanauer goes to lane 1. He knows what he's doing. He knows his boat. He's leading as they come out of turn number 2. He makes it out onto the back stretch, and he's got a clear run straight ahead.
Chip Hanauer has raced since the age of 10 years old. He was in the Nationals, the J class. As we look at the fight for second place between the Kellogg's Frosted Flakes on the outside, and look at Mark Tate put the pedal to the metal and take over second place in the Winston Eagle. And a problem.
The problem, the Miss T Plus has gone down in the water. Now that's mostly steam coming off of the boat at the moment. It looks like Stephen David is going to try to restart that boat. We'll keep an eye on it, as we will keep an eye on the Miss Budweiser leading this race. The Miss Budweiser, Chip Hanauer, looking for its 9th Gold Cup. He's got to win this race and a couple others today to get it. But look at the battle in second place. Kellogg's Frosted Flakes has not backed off at all. Winston Eagle has a problem on his outside, and that's the boat trying to catch him. No problem for the Miss Budweiser. If Chip Hanauer looks into the rearview mirrors now, he won't see any close competition. Those two boats in second place are worried about each other for the moment.
Let's not get confused when you see yachts in a marina, because on the western end of the course is the Detroit Boat Club down in turn number 1, and the Yacht Club is down in turn number 2. Farther down, the chutes in the east end of the course.
Miss Budweiser still holding on to first place. Third place is the Kellogg's Frosted Flakes, the boat out of Madison, Indiana. And that boat is driven by Mike Hanson, who said earlier in our show that he would love nothing better than to win a Gold Cup on the Detroit River. Well, Mike, I think that echoes the view of every single driver in the race today.
156.9 mile an hour. As we look at the T Plus, he's restarted. 156.9, the fastest lap for Budweiser in this heat. And look at Steve David drive the T Plus.
Uh-oh, T Plus threw something. I don't know. He spun that engine awfully fast. He may have lost something on the boat. He went dead right in front of the crowd. If you could hear it, the crowd went, oh, all at one time. They knew something was wrong.
Something wound up tight. We'll try to find out as the winner of Heat 3B and 3 perfect victories in elimination heats in the 1993 Gold Cup goes to Miss Budweiser.
The Detroit River course sees another win by the Miss Budweiser. Winston Eagle second, Kellogg's Frosted Flakes third, and it did not finish for the T Plus, but they've got a problem.
The problem is Steve David is jammed to the cockpit. They cannot get the canopy open. Let's go down to the pits and Steve Montgomery.
Jim, you've talked to Steve. He's okay in there?
Yes, he's okay. We just can't get the canopy open. Apparently, when whatever broke, rattled the boat bad enough that it snapped an arm, and canopy locked closed, and till we get it here, we don't know how to get it out.
He has plenty of air, though. He's okay.
Oh, he's got plenty of air, and what we'll probably do is lift the boat up and take him out through the bottom hatch.
The action continues in the Budweiser APBA Gold Cup from Detroit, Michigan, after this timeout.
As we welcome you back to the Motor City, let's say hi to Tony Stevenson and Mike Hance. Tony from Irvine, California, Mike from McKinney, Texas. They are piloting the Bud 1 airship high above the course, and if they look down right now, they can look down upon the Dodge pits where all the action is, and where Jim Hendrick is standing by with the winner of our last heat, Chip Hanauer.
All right, Chip, how would you compare the water conditions yesterday's action as compared to today's?
Well, it's really different. Although there's not as much wind today, there's more rollers today. I think it's, in many ways, it's just as challenging but different.
All right. Bernie, you were tied going into this heat today with the Winston. Now you take a slight advantage.
Yeah, we sure did. We planned to be there, and Chip drove the hell out of the boat, needless to tell you. And we are just looking for the Gold Cup one more time for Chip and myself.
Better than 500,000 fans in Detroit wondering about Steve David, who is trapped in his boat. Well, the good news is Steve appears to be okay. He's going to be checked out by the medical crew. Let's find out more about what happened.
This is Tim Ramsey, crew chief on the T Plus. Tim, a little bit of damage here. You lost a prop, and it took some equipment with it.
Yeah, this is pretty typical when we lose propeller. What ended up happening here is we lost a propeller blade, and it caused some damage. There's a severe crack here in the strut. Fortunately, the bottom panel underneath the strut stayed pretty much intact. But you can see up forward here, we've got some damage in the shaft log area that we're going to have to take and do some extensive repair work in the bottom of the boat. We've got some honeycomb wrinkle and some damage up inside by the gearbox we're going to have to repair, too.
And apparently that shockwave was enough to freeze the canopy on Steve David. Let's go down and talk with him.
Steve David finally out from under glass on the T+. Sometimes a little more protection than you want.
Yeah, that thing, it's meant to keep you in there, Steve, no matter what.
The explosion shook something up?
Yeah, when the engine and the propeller let go, it just broke the pins. It was such a violent shaking that the cockpit couldn't open up.
You fogged up the windows a little, but you're okay.
Yeah, and that fogging was because of the beautiful women along the shoreline, not because of anything in the boat.